Welcome back, everybody. Settle in, because today we are going to talk about a concept that dictates the trajectory of our entire lives. We are going to talk about luck. But I want you to completely erase everything you think you know about that word. I want you to forget the lottery tickets, the lucky charms, the idea of being born under the right star, or the notion that the universe just randomly blesses some people while cursing others. Today, we are going deep into the architecture of fortune. We are going to deconstruct a brilliant little book, a modern philosophical masterpiece really, called Good Luck, by Rovira and Fernando Trias de Bes. And by the time we finish this journey together, you are going to see the world, your career, your relationships, and your own potential through a radically different lens. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a beautiful, crisp afternoon in a central park. The leaves are just starting to turn, the city noise is a dull hum in the background, and two 60-year-old men happen to cross paths. They haven't seen each other in 50 years. Half a century. They grew up together in the exact same neighborhood, running the same streets, sharing the same starting line in life. But as they sit down on a park bench to catch up, the contrast between them is absolutely staggering. On one side of the bench you have Max. Max is the embodiment of peace, fulfillment, and monumental success. He is a self-made business tycoon. He owns over 20 factories, employs 2,000 people, and carries himself with the quiet confidence of a man who has truly built his place in the world. On the other side of the bench sits Jim. And Jim breaks your heart just looking at him. He is weary. He is bitter. His shoulders carry the heavy, invisible weight of a life gone wrong. And here is the profound irony of their story. Jim is the one who inherited a massive fortune. Jim was given the keys to a thriving textile factory. Jim had it all handed to him on a silver platter. Yet today, Jim is utterly destitute, surviving on odd jobs and the charity of his neighbors. So, what happened? How does the kid with nothing build an empire, while the kid with the empire loses everything? As they talk, the underlying logic of success and failure reveals itself, and it all comes down to a fatal disease called inertia. Jim explains that when he inherited his factory, things were going well. So, he did nothing. He made no changes. He just rode the wave. When competitors started showing up with cheaper, trendier, more innovative products, Jim didn't pivot. He didn't innovate. Instead, he blamed the customers. He said they had lost their taste. He waited, and waited, and waited until his resources completely dried up, and he went bankrupt. And his final conclusion as he sits on that park bench? He just says, "I had bad luck." Now look at Max. Max started washing cars and carrying luggage at luxury hotels when he was just 10 years old. But Max wasn't just working, he was observing. He watched the wealthy clients. He studied what they valued. He noticed a gap in the market for high-quality leather bags. He saved every penny, bought a failing shop, and for 10 straight years, he worked tirelessly, reinvesting every single cent back into his business. Max looks at Jim and explains a psychological distinction that serves as the absolute foundation of everything we are going to talk about today. He tells Jim that there are two types of luck. First, there is random luck. This is the lottery win. This is the inheritance. This is the lucky break that you had absolutely no hand in creating. And because it doesn't depend on you, it rarely lasts. It's a statistical fact that 90% of lottery winners lose their entire fortune within 10 years. Why? Because the person didn't grow to match the wealth just fell on them. But then, Max says, there is true luck. Good luck. This is the luck you create yourself by intentionally preparing the conditions for it to thrive. And because you are the architect of those conditions, this kind of luck stays with you forever. Jim, being bitter and defeated, is highly skeptical. So Max leans in and decides to tell Jim a fable. It's a story passed down from his grandfather, a story about the legendary wizard Merlin. And this is where our deep dive really begins, Because this fable is a masterclass in human psychology and environmental engineering. The story goes like this. Merlin gathers all the bravest, strongest knights of the kingdom into his grand courtyard. He issues a challenge that sounds like the ultimate dream: in exactly 7 days, a magic 4-leaf clover will sprout somewhere in the enchanted forest. This isn't just any clover. This plant grants eternal luck, unlimited success in battle, in love, in business, in life. The knights go wild. They are cheering, drawing their swords, ready to ride out. But then Merlin reveals the catch. The enchanted forest is as vast as an ocean, dark, treacherous, and deadly. Instantly you see the first great filter of human achievement: fear masquerading as realism. The moment the crowd hears how difficult it will be, the cheering stops. The knights start complaining. They say it's impossible. They say it's like finding a needle in a haystack. They immediately talk themselves out of the arena. When the dust settles, out of hundreds of knights, only 2 remain. First, there is Not, the Black Knight. Not is driven entirely by ego. He wants the prize, he wants the glory, and he wants the shortcut to power. Then there is Sid, the White Knight. Sid isn't just looking for the prize, he is driven by the challenge itself. He has a fundamental belief that if Merlin says it's possible, there must be a way to make it happen. Both knights mount their horses and ride toward the dark tree line of the enchanted forest, and right here, the narrative splits into one of the most brilliant contrasts of methodology I have ever come across. They have 5 days left once they reach the forest. 5 days to find a single clover in a continent of trees. How do you even begin? Well, their internal logic dictates their actions. Not, the Black Knight, enters the forest looking for a specific spot where luck already exists. He is looking for a pre-packaged miracle. Sid, the White Knight, enters the forest looking for how to make luck happen. This is secret number 1. Luck that comes by chance doesn't last, but luck created by the self is eternal. And secret number 2 closely follows. Everyone wants luck, but almost no one is willing to take the necessary steps to prepare the environment for it. On their first full day in the forest, both knights realize they need intel. They need to understand the ground they are walking on. So, they both seek out the gnome, the prince of the earth, the creature who knows the history of every single grain of dirt in the forest. Not finds the gnome first. His approach is entirely passive and demanding. He towers over the gnome and basically says, "Tell me where the magical clover is. Give me the coordinates." The gnome looks at him and says, "Are you crazy? Clovers have never grown in this forest. The soil is too hard, too old, and completely dead. It's impossible." Not's reaction is so incredibly human, and so incredibly toxic. He becomes furious. He feels cheated. He convinces himself that Merlin lied to him. He descends into fear, doubt, and victimhood. He chooses to believe that the situation is rigged against him, and because he believes that, he does absolutely nothing to change it. He just goes to sleep, angry at the world. Now Sid finds the gnome. Sid gets the exact same terrible news. No clover has ever grown here, the soil is dead. But Sid doesn't get angry. Sid doesn't blame Merlin. Instead, Sid asks the most powerful word in the human language. Why? Why hasn't it grown here? The gnome explains that the soil has never been tilled, it's never been turned over, it's never been refreshed. And in that moment, Sid has a monumental psychological pivot. He realizes that if the clover hasn't grown before, it isn't because the forest is cursed. It's because the variables weren't right. The conditions were wrong. So Sid asks the gnome, "Where is the best, richest soil in the entire forest?" The gnome points him to a tiny, hidden patch of land. Sid goes to that patch. He doesn't just look at it. He gets off his horse, gets on his hands and knees, and he starts working. He clears the heavy stones. He tills the earth. He breaks his back turning the dead dirt until he has created a small area of soft, fresh, fertile soil. Listen to this, Sid hasn't found the clover yet. He has no guarantee the clover will grow exactly there. But he has created the first condition for it to exist. Why does this matter? Think about your own life. How often do we act like not? We look at a job market, or a dating pool, or the economy, and we ask the experts, and the experts say, "It's impossible right now. The soil is dead." And we get mad. We blame the government, we blame our parents, we blame society, and we go to sleep angry. But the people who build true luck, the SIDS of the world, they hear that it's impossible and they ask, why? Oh, because I don't have the right skills? Because my network is weak? Because my attitude is poor? Okay, let me go till my own soil. Let me read the books. Let me take the courses. Let me change my own baseline conditions. To find something that has never been found, you must do something that has never been done. Not sleeps in frustration. Sid sleeps with the deep, quiet satisfaction of having improved a small piece of the world, even if he hasn't seen the reward yet. But the story doesn't stop at the soil. Because soil alone doesn't create life. Life requires water. The next day, both knights realize they need to figure out the hydration of the forest. They both seek out the Lady of the Lake. And again, Knot gets there first. He asks her where the clover is, and she tells him the same thing. No clover has ever grown here. Knot, trapped in his confirmation bias, views her information as just another dead end. He leaves, sinking deeper into his own misery. Then Sid arrives. Sid accidentally wakes the Lady of the Lakes. Singing lilies. Now, instead of just demanding answers, Sid has a conversation. He learns about her ecosystem. He learns that the lilies have to sleep during the day so they can sing at night. And their singing actually evaporates the water of the lake to keep it from flooding the forest. The Lady of the Lake is stressed. Her lake is stagnant and constantly on the verge of overflowing. Sid sees the board clearly. He identifies a perfect symmetry between his need and her burden. He needs a steady stream of water to irrigate his new patch of soil. She needs to get rid of excess water. So Sid proposes a solution. He will dig a trench from the lake all the way to his plot of land. It will drain her excess water, solving her flooding problem, and it will water his soil, solving his hydration problem. This is where the fable hits you with the brutal, physical reality of creating luck. Sid doesn't just wave a magic wand. He spends the entire day and the entire night digging a trench through hard earth with his sword. The book emphasizes his physical sacrifice. His hands are blistered, bleeding, and raw. His muscles are screaming. The cost of luck is labor. And the core argument here is profound. Luck is often found in helping others. By solving the Lady of the Lake's problem, Sid secured a permanent water source for his own soil. Think about how this applies to modern success. The people who seem to magically land the best clients, the best deals, the best partnerships, they aren't just walking around asking, "Who can give me money?" They are looking at the ecosystem. They are finding out what is overflowing, what is causing stress to other people, and they are digging trenches to relieve that stress. They are bleeding for the win-win. Nod is looking for a transaction. Sid is building an infrastructure of mutual benefit. So now Sid has soil. He has water. But any botanist will tell you, a plant needs light. It needs photosynthesis. The next day, Sid identifies this third variable and seeks out Sequoia, the queen of trees, the oldest and wisest living thing in the forest. And guess what? Nod goes to see her too. Nod is at his breaking point. He is impatient, he is angry, and he demands a quick answer. Sequoia tells him that no clover has grown in the forest for 2,000 years. And this is a fascinating psychological moment for Nod. He actually uses this truth as an excuse to stop trying. He falls completely into the victim mindset. Aha! He thinks. Merlin did trick me. It's been impossible for 2 millennia. He uses the historical failure of the forest to validate his own personal failure. But Sid approaches Sequoia with humility. He asks her about the nature of the magical clover. Sequoia tells him that it needs an equal balance of direct sunlight and shade. But there's a massive problem. The forest canopy is incredibly dense. It's a roof of leaves. No sunlight reaches the forest floor. Period. Sid asks why the forest is like this. Sequoia sighs and gives a devastating answer. She says that the forest residents are lazy. They always leave things for tomorrow. They never prune the dead branches. They never clear the overgrowth. The forest is literally choked by the dead wood of past indecision. Sid is exhausted. His hands are bleeding from digging the trench. His body wants to sleep. But he understands the fifth secret of luck: do not procrastinate. Do not leave for tomorrow what must be done today. He spends the entire night climbing 12 massive, towering trees. He hacks away at the dead branches in the pitch black. He risks his life, climbing higher and higher, until he clears a perfect opening in the canopy directly above his little patch of soil. When the morning comes, a single, brilliant shaft of sunlight pierces the darkness of the enchanted forest and illuminates his specific plot of land. Let's pause and really unpack this. How many of our own lives, our own businesses, our own minds, are overgrown with the dead branches of "I'll do it tomorrow"? We know we need to have that difficult conversation. We know we need to cancel that subscription, quit that bad habit, update that resume, launch that website. But we say, tomorrow. And because we say tomorrow, the canopy gets thicker. The shade gets darker. And the light of opportunity can never hit our soil. Sid climbing those trees is the ultimate metaphor for taking immediate, uncomfortable action. And notice the shift in Sid's psychology here. As he climbs down, he isn't even worried anymore about whether he chose the right spot in the massive forest. He has found peace. Why? Because he knows he has done absolutely everything within his human power to prepare the conditions. The rest is out of his hands, and there is a deep, stoic tranquility in knowing you have done the work. We are now on the 5th day. Nod has descended into pure nihilism. He is wandering aimlessly, swallowed by the darkness of his own mind. But his psychology takes an even darker turn. He seeks out Stan, the mother of stones. Why? He doesn't want to know how to find the clover. He seeks her out specifically to hear someone else tell him that the quest is impossible. He wants validation for his failure. He finds comfort in the idea that if he can't do it, no one can. If he fails, Sid must fail too. This is such a sharp critique of human nature. Have you ever noticed how people who have given up on their dreams love to mock the people who are still trying? Misery doesn't just love company. Misery demands company to justify its own existence. Nod wants to be right more than he wants to be lucky. Stan tells Nod that clovers cannot grow where there are stones, and Nod actually leaves feeling relieved. His failure is confirmed. But Sid, even though he only has 2 days left, decides he needs to climb Mother Mountain to see Stan. He doesn't go looking for a miracle. He goes because he wants to verify his work. He wants to know if there is one more thing he might have missed. He ignores his crushing fatigue because he is committed to the absolute completeness of his task. When he reaches the summit, Stan tells him the same thing: clovers can't grow where there are stones. Sid realizes that when he tilled his soil, he only removed the big rocks on the surface. He immediately runs back down the mountain to his plot. He digs his bleeding hands back into the dirt and sifts through the soil, pulling out every tiny pebble, every hidden stone beneath the surface, ensuring the earth is perfectly, flawlessly pure. He removes the invisible obstacles. Now we approach the climax. The 7th day is looming. The physical work is done. Sid has the soil. He has the water. He has the light. He has removed the stones. But before the universe grants you luck, it will always test your faith. Enter Morgana, the Dark Witch. Morgana represents the ultimate external voice of doubt. She appears to Sid and wages pure psychological warfare. She tells him that Merlin is a liar. She claims that the four-leaf clover is actually cursed, and that anyone who plucks it will die a horrible death within 3 days. She tells Sid that Nott has already figured this out and fled the forest, and she urges Sid to run away while he still can. Imagine being Sid in this moment. You are exhausted. You are alone in a dark forest. You have bled for this soil. And now, a powerful entity is telling you that your entire mission is a suicidal trap. Most people would break here. Imposter syndrome would take over. The fear of looking foolish would win. But Sid doesn't panic. He uses logic to dismantle her malice. He thinks it through. Wait a minute. The legend says Merlin will die if no one plucks the clover. But you're telling me the person who plucks it will die. If both are true, then Merlin should just come here and pluck it himself. Because the person destined to die and the person cursed to die would be the same, thus breaking the curse. He realizes Morgana's story makes no logical sense. He sees through her hidden motives. Morgana, realizing she cannot manipulate a mind grounded in logic and faith, flees into the shadows. The lesson here is profound. When you are on the verge of a breakthrough, when you have done the work and prepared the ground, the haters will get louder. The voices of doubt, both external and internal, will try to convince you that your effort is pointless, or worse, dangerous. You must have the intellectual fortitude to protect your vision. You have to believe in your own mission, especially when no one else is clapping for you. And then it happens. The 7th day arrives. The climax of the fable. Sid is standing by his tiny, perfect patch of tilled, watered, sunlit, stone-free soil. Suddenly the wind god, the lord of fate and luck, appears in the sky. He begins the dance of the storm. And from the heavens, he releases a rain of shimmering, golden seeds. These are the seeds of the magical four-leaf clover. But here is the most important, paradigm-shifting detail of the entire book. The wind god does not just drop the seeds on Sid's plot. He drops them everywhere. The golden seeds rain down across the entire enchanted forest. They rain down on the castle where the lazy knights stayed behind. They rain down on the retreating bitter Nott. They rain down on the witch Morgana. They fall on every square inch of the kingdom. But what happens? To almost everyone, the seeds just feel like annoying, sticky dust. Because the ground throughout the kingdom is hard, rocky, dry, or covered in deep shade. The magical seeds wither and die within seconds of touching the earth. They bounce off the dead soil of the forest. They rot on the stones. Only in one place do they survive. On Sid's specific, tiny plot of land. The seeds touch the soft, tilled earth. They drink from the trench of fresh water. They bask in the perfect shaft of sunlight. And instantly, hundreds of magical four-leaf clovers bloom before Sid's eyes. The wind god speaks to Sid and explains the ultimate secret. He says, "I am the wind of luck. I distribute these seeds equally, to everyone, everywhere, every single year. I do not play favorites. I do not choose who gets lucky and who doesn't. Luck is simply the intersection of opportunity and preparation. The seeds are the opportunity. The soil is the preparation. Opportunity is raining down on us all the time. But most people are like Nott. They are waiting for the fully grown clover to just be handed to them. They haven't done the work. Sid didn't find the luck. He created the exact conditions required for the luck to take root. Think about the modern world we live in right now. The internet, the global economy, the access to information, this is the rain of golden seeds. Opportunity is falling everywhere, every single day. But why do only a few people seem to catch it? Because only a few people have spent the lonely nights digging the trenches. Only a few people have bled to till the soil of their own minds, learning new skills, building discipline. Pruning the dead branches of their bad habits so the light can get in. As the fable ends, we zoom back out to that park bench. To the two 60-year-old men. Max, the self-made tycoon, finishes the story. Jim, the man who inherited everything and lost it all to his own inertia, sits in silence. For the first time in his life, the bitter armor cracks. Jim realizes that he was not. He was handed a factory, a field of clovers, but he never learned how to tend the soil. When the climate changed, when the water dried up, he just got mad at the gnome. He blamed the customers. He blamed the universe. He never asked, why? And he never picked up a shovel. Max reaches out to his old friend. Because the beautiful thing about the enchanted forest is that you can start tilling the soil at any time. It doesn't matter if you are 20, 40, or 60 years old. The wind god drops the seeds every year. The opportunity will come again. The only question is, will your ground be ready? So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this question. Look at your life right now. Look at your career, your health, your relationships. Are you walking around the forest demanding to know where the luck is hidden? Are you getting angry at the experts when they tell you the soil is hard? Are you seeking out other cynical people just to validate your own excuses? Or are you willing to be Sid? Are you willing to ask, why? Are you willing to look for the win-win and help others solve their problems so you can solve your own? Are you willing to climb the trees in the dark to stop procrastinating? Are you willing to get your hands dirty, to bleed a little bit, to pull the hidden stones out of your own psychology? Luck is not a lightning strike. Luck is a harvest. Stop waiting for it to happen to you, and start building the environment for it to grow. Go till your soil. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'll see you next time.